Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we start, let me ask you something. Imagine you wake up tomorrow morning and everything has changed. The power's out, water isn't running from your taps, your phone has no signal. The stores are either closed or completely emptied. Now, here's the real question. Would you survive the next 72 hours? What about the next week? The next month? I'm not trying to scare you, but statistics show that most people are completely unprepared for even a 3-day emergency. And look, I get it. Life is busy. We assume someone else will handle things, but when disaster strikes, whether it's a natural catastrophe, economic collapse, or any other crisis situation, you're on your own. That's exactly why today's video is so critical. I've spent years researching, testing, and consulting with survival experts, military personnel, and people who've actually lived through SHTF scenarios. And you know what? When we strip away all the noise, all the fancy gear, all the expensive equipment, it comes down to just 7 items. 7. Now, you might be thinking, only 7? That seems too simple. But here's the thing. These aren't just random items I pulled out of thin air. Each one is carefully chosen based on the rule of 3s in survival. You can survive 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter in harsh conditions, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. These 7 items address every single one of these critical needs. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what these 7 items are, why they're essential, where to get them, and most importantly, how to use them when everything falls apart. So make sure you watch till the very end, because I'm also going to share some bonus tips that could literally save your life. All right, let's get straight into it. Number 1 on our list, and this should be number 1 on your list too, a reliable water purification system. Let me tell you why this is absolutely non-negotiable. Your body is roughly 60% water. In a survival situation, you can go maybe 3 days without water before your organs start shutting down. 3 days, that's it. And here's what most people don't realize. In most disaster scenarios, clean water becomes scarce almost immediately. Think about it. Floods contaminate water supplies. Earthquakes break pipes, power outages shut down treatment plants, even civil unrest can disrupt water distribution. And drinking contaminated water? That's a death sentence. Cholera, dysentery, typhoid, giardia, these diseases kill faster than dehydration itself. So what do you need? You need multiple methods of water purification. Never rely on just one. First, get yourself a portable water filter. I'm talking about something like a Life Straw, a Sawyer Mini, or something similar. These can filter thousands of gallons of water and remove 99.9999% of bacteria and parasites. They're lightweight, portable, and incredibly effective. You can drink directly from a stream, a puddle, even a muddy pond if you have to. But here's the key. You need backup methods. Get water purification tablets. Iodine or chlorine dioxide tablets are cheap, they last for years, and they can purify water when your filter breaks or gets clogged. Always have at least 100 tablets stored away. Now, let me teach you something that could save your life even if you have nothing. Boiling water. If you can make fire, which we'll talk about in a minute, you can purify water. Bring water to a rolling boil for at least 1 minute. At higher altitudes, boil it for 3 minutes. This kills virtually every pathogen. Simple, effective, and it's been keeping humans alive for thousands of years. Here's a pro tip that most people miss. Water storage is just as important as purification. Store at least 1 gallon of water per person per day. That means for a family of 4, you need 12 gallons just for 3 days. Get food-grade water containers and rotate them every 6 months. Mark the date on them. And one more thing, learn to collect rainwater. A simple tarp or plastic sheet can collect gallons of rainwater during a storm. This is already relatively clean and only needs minimal filtration. The biggest mistake I see people make, they buy one water filter and think they're done. That filter breaks, gets lost, or runs out, and suddenly you're in serious trouble. Redundancy is everything in survival. Have multiple methods, know how to use each one, and practice before you need them. Water is life. Without it, nothing else on this list matters. So make this your absolute first priority. Number 2,
a high-quality multi-tool or survival knife. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. A knife, really? That seems pretty basic. But let me explain why this is probably the most versatile item you'll ever own. A good knife or multi-tool is like having an entire toolbox in your pocket. Think about it. In a survival situation, you need to build shelter, right? You'll be cutting branches, stripping bark, carving stakes. You need to prepare food. You're skinning, gutting, filleting. You need to make fire. You're shaving tinder, creating feather sticks. First aid emergency? You might need to cut clothing, remove splinters, even perform emergency procedures I won't get into here. The Swiss Army knife principle applies here. One tool, hundreds of uses. But not all knives are created equal. For a survival knife, you want a full tang fixed blade. That means the metal runs through the entire handle. This makes it incredibly strong and virtually unbreakable. The blade should be between 4 to 6 inches long, made from high carbon steel or stainless steel. High carbon holds an edge better, but requires more maintenance. Stainless resists rust, but is slightly less tough. For a multi-tool, look for one that has at minimum a knife blade, saw, can opener, screwdriver, and pliers. Leatherman and Gerber make excellent options. The saw is especially underrated. A small saw can cut through wood that would take you forever with just a knife. Here's something crucial that nobody talks about. Knife skills matter more than the knife itself. I've seen people with $500 custom knives who can't even sharpen them properly. Meanwhile, someone with a $20 more knife and actual skills can do incredible things. Learn basic knife skills. Practice batoning, which is splitting wood by hammering your knife through it with another piece of wood. Learn proper cutting techniques so you don't injure yourself. Learn to sharpen your blade because a dull knife is not just useless, it's dangerous. And here's a reality check. In a true SHTF scenario, that knife might also be your last line of self-defense. I'm not advocating violence, but you need to be realistic. Your safety comes first. One more thing about maintenance. Keep your knife clean, dry, and sharp. A little bit of oil on the blade prevents rust. Store it properly. And for the love of everything, don't use it to pry things open or as a screwdriver if you can avoid it. That's how blades break. Budget conscious? You don't need to spend a fortune. A Mora companion knife costs around $15 and is used by bushcraft experts worldwide. For multi-tools, even a basic Leatherman Wingman at $50 will serve you incredibly well. Your knife is your most used tool in any survival situation. Choose wisely, maintain it properly, and develop the skills to use it effectively. Number 3, a comprehensive fire starting kit. Fire changes everything. It keeps you warm, purifies your water, cooks your food, signals for rescue, and provides psychological comfort when everything seems hopeless. Humans have survived for hundreds of thousands of years primarily because we mastered fire. But here's the problem. Starting fire in ideal conditions is easy. Starting fire when it's raining, when it's windy, when your hands are numb from cold, when you're exhausted and stressed, that's when people die. That's why you need multiple fire starting methods. This is called redundancy, and in survival, redundancy saves lives. First, waterproof matches. Not regular matches, waterproof matches. Store them in a waterproof container. UCO stormproof matches can burn even in heavy wind and rain. They're worth every penny. Second, a reliable lighter. Get multiple Bic lighters. They're cheap, they work, and they last for thousands of lights. Keep them in different places. One in your pocket, one in your bag, one in your vehicle. I personally keep 5 scattered in different locations. Third, and this is the most important, a ferrocerium rod, also called a ferro rod. This is a metal rod that creates sparks when you scrape it with a striker. Why is this important? Because it works when wet, it works in extreme cold, it works at high altitude, and it can create thousands of fires. When everything else fails, your ferro rod will still work. Fourth, natural tinder. Carry some cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly. They're waterproof, they catch a spark easily, and they burn for several minutes. Dryer lint works too. Char cloth is even better if you know how to make it. Now here's what separates survivors from victims. Fire starting skills matter. You need to practice. Go outside right now with your ferro rod and try to start a fire in your backyard. Can't do it? Then you're not ready. Learn to identify natural tinder, dry grass, birch bark, pine needles, cattail fluff. Learn to create a tinder bundle. Learn the structure of a fire, tinder, kindling, fuel wood. Learn different fire configurations like the teepee fire, log cabin fire, and Dakota fire hole. And here's something nobody tells you. Fire starting in wet conditions is entirely possible if you know what you're doing. Look for dead branches that are still attached to trees because they're off the ground and drier.
Strip away wet bark to get to dry wood underneath. Use your knife to create feather sticks, which are thin wood shavings that catch fire easily, even when slightly damp. Fire safety is also critical. In a survival situation, you don't want to cause a forest fire and make your situation even worse. Clear the area around your fire. Never leave it unattended. Know how to fully extinguish it. Your fire starting kit should fit in a small, waterproof bag and go with you everywhere. Mine weighs maybe 6 ounces, but provides literally thousands of fires. That's the best weight-to-value ratio you'll ever find. Practice until starting fire becomes second nature, because when your life depends on it, muscle memory takes over where panic would otherwise freeze you. Number 4, a comprehensive first aid kit. And I'm not talking about the little box with a few Band-Aids that you keep in your bathroom cabinet. Listen carefully, because this is vital. In SHTF scenario, medical emergencies don't wait. There's no calling 911. There's no ambulance coming. There's no hospital. It's just you, your supplies, and your knowledge. And I'll be brutally honest with you, more people die from treatable injuries in disasters than from the disaster itself. A small infection can turn into sepsis. A moderate cut can lead to life-threatening blood loss. Dehydration can cause organ failure. These aren't dramatic scenarios from movies. This is the harsh reality of survival situations. So, what do you need in your first aid kit? Let me break this down properly. For wound care, you need various sizes of sterile gauze pads, medical tape, adhesive bandages, roller bandages, and trauma dressings. Get at least 2 Israeli bandages or equivalent pressure dressings. These can stop severe bleeding and have saved countless lives in combat zones. For cleaning and prevention, antiseptic wipes, hydrogen peroxide, isopropyl alcohol, antibiotic ointment like Neosporin, and hand sanitizer. Infection is your enemy. Clean every wound immediately and thoroughly. For medications, pain relievers like ibuprofen and acetaminophen, anti-diarrheal medication because diarrhea kills through dehydration, antihistamines for allergic reactions, and, if possible, a course of broad-spectrum antibiotics. I know antibiotics require prescriptions in most places, but if you can legally obtain them, do it. They can save your life. For tools, sharp scissors, tweezers, safety pins, a thermometer, disposable gloves, and a tourniquet. Yes, a real tourniquet. Not a belt, not a rope, an actual medical tourniquet like a CAT or SOFT. Severe arterial bleeding can kill you in minutes, and only a proper tourniquet can stop it. Now here's the critical part that most people completely ignore. Supplies mean nothing without knowledge. You can have the most expensive first aid kit in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, you might as well have nothing. Take a first aid course. Take a CPR course. Learn basic wound care. Learn how to recognize and treat shock, which kills more trauma victims than the injuries themselves. Learn how to splint a broken bone. Learn how to identify infections early. Learn the signs of dehydration, hypothermia, and heat stroke. Let me give you some real scenarios. Someone cuts their leg badly on debris. Do you know how to apply direct pressure? Do you know when to use a tourniquet versus when not to? Can you pack a wound properly? These skills are learnable, but you need to learn them now, not when someone is bleeding out in front of you. Here's another scenario people don't think about: burns.
In survival situations, you're working with fire, hot water, and improvised cooking. Burns happen. Do you know how to treat a second-degree burn? Do you know why you should never put butter or oil on a burn? Do you know how to prevent infection in a burn wound? And what about your personal medications? If you take blood pressure medication, insulin, inhalers, or any other daily medication, you need at least a 30-day supply in your kit. Work with your doctor to get emergency supplies. Your regular medication is not optional in a survival situation. Don't forget about dental emergencies either. Dental pain can be absolutely debilitating. Include temporary filling material and clove oil for toothaches. Trust me, a bad toothache when there's no dentist available is a nightmare you want to avoid. Here's something else. Expiration dates matter. Check your first aid kit every 6 months. Rotate medications. Replace expired items. Medical supplies don't last forever. Now, natural alternatives. I'm all for herbal remedies and natural medicine, but in a true emergency, you want proven, effective medical supplies. That said, knowing medicinal plants is valuable supplementary knowledge. Willow bark for pain, honey for wound dressing, yarrow for bleeding, plantain for inflammation. Learn about them, but don't rely solely on them. One more critical point: mental health.
In disasters, trauma is real. PTSD is real. The psychological toll is immense. Know the signs. Be ready to provide emotional support. Sometimes, just listening to someone can be as important as physical first aid. Your first aid kit should be organized, easily accessible, and waterproof. I keep mine in a hard case with clear compartments. Everything is labeled. I can find what I need in the dark if I have to. The bottom line: medical emergencies and HTF situations are deadly. The right supplies, combined with the right knowledge, make the difference between life and death. Don't skimp on this, ever. Number 5, emergency shelter. Specifically, a high-quality tarp or emergency shelter system. Here's a sobering fact. Exposure to the elements kills faster than thirst, and way faster than hunger. In extreme conditions, you can die from hypothermia in 3 hours. 3 hours! That's less time than most movies. Your body temperature is critical. If it drops too low, you get hypothermia. If it gets too high, you get heat stroke. Both are deadly. Shelter regulates your body temperature, protects you from wind, rain, snow, and sun, and provides a psychological safe space when everything is chaotic. Now, why am I recommending a tarp instead of a tent? Because versatility is king in survival situations. A good tarp can be configured dozens of different ways. You can make an A-frame shelter, a lean-to, a flying diamond, a plow point. You can use it as ground cover to keep you dry. You can collect rainwater with it. You can use it to signal for help. Try doing all that with a tent. Look for a tarp that's at least 10 by 10 feet for one person, bigger if you need to shelter multiple people. It should be made from ripstop nylon or polyester, and it needs to be waterproof or at least water-resistant. Reinforced grommets in the corners and along the edges are essential for tying it up securely. Now, a tarp alone isn't enough. You need paracord, real 550 paracord, not the cheap knockoff stuff. Get at least 100 feet. Paracord is incredible. The outer sheath and inner strands can be separated, giving you multiple types of cordage. You can use it for shelter building, trap making, fishing lines, shoelaces, tourniquets, clotheslines, you name it. Here's what you need to know about building shelter. Location matters more than construction. Never build in a valley where cold air settles. Never build in a dry riverbed because flash floods. Never build under dead trees because widowmakers can fall and kill you. Look for natural windbreaks, elevated ground, and proximity to resources. Learn at least 3 basic shelter configurations. An A-frame is quick and effective in rain. A lean-to works well with a fire reflector. A debris hut can keep you warm even without any materials other than natural vegetation. Now, let's talk about insulation. Your shelter keeps wind and rain off of you, but you need insulation from the ground. Cold ground sucks heat out of your body faster than you can imagine. Use pine needles, leaves, grass, anything that creates an insulating layer between you and the ground. In hot environments, your shelter needs to provide shade and allow airflow. In cold environments, you need to trap warm air and block wind. Understanding these principles lets you adapt your shelter to any condition. Also, get an emergency bivvy or space blanket. These are those metallic-looking blankets.
They weigh a few ounces, fold down to nothing, and can save your life. They reflect up to 90% of your body heat back to you. In hypothermia situations, they're absolute lifesavers. Here's a mistake I see constantly. People spend all their time building an elaborate shelter and exhaust themselves. In survival, conservation of energy is critical. Build the minimum effective shelter. You can always improve it later. And one more thing, your shelter should be invisible if possible. In some HTF scenarios, you don't want people knowing where you are. Use natural materials and camouflage when appropriate. Practice building shelters. Go camping with just your tarp and paracord. Learn what works and what doesn't. Build in different weather conditions. Time yourself. Make it second nature. Shelter isn't glamorous, it's not exciting, but it's the difference between surviving the night and not making it to morning. Never underestimate it. Number 6, a portable, high-calorie food supply. Now, here's an interesting thing about survival. You can actually survive quite a while without eating. The human body can go roughly 3 weeks without eating before you die, though you'll be severely weakened long before that. But here's what people miss. In an STF scenario, you need energy, you need calories, you need nutrition. When you're building shelters, purifying water, gathering firewood, defending yourself, your body is burning through calories at an accelerated rate. Mental stress increases caloric needs. Cold weather increases caloric. Everything about survival demands energy, and energy comes from food. So what makes a good survival food? It needs to be calorie-dense, lightweight, have a long shelf life, require minimal or no cooking, and ideally provide balanced nutrition. Let's start with the gold standard, MREs, meals ready to eat. These are military rations designed for exactly this purpose. Each MRE contains about 1,200 calories, includes an entree, side dishes, dessert, and even a flameless heater to warm your food. They last for years when stored properly. Yes, they're expensive, but they're worth it. If MREs are out of your budget, there are alternatives. Energy bars and protein bars are excellent. Look for ones with at least 200 calories per bar. Cliff bars, Green Belly bars, and similar products are designed for endurance and survival situations. Nuts and dried fruits are fantastic. They're calorie-dense, full of healthy fats and nutrients, and they last forever when vacuum sealed. Peanut butter is survival gold. High in calories, protein, healthy fats, and it lasts for months even without refrigeration. Yes, they require cooking, but if you have fire and water, you have a meal. Canned foods are heavy but valuable. Beans, tuna, chicken, vegetables. They're ready to eat, nutritious, and have long shelf lives. Rotate them every year or two. Here's something crucial. In a survival situation, you need roughly 2,000 to 3,000 calories per day, depending on your activity level and environment. That's a lot of food. For a 2-week emergency, you're looking at 28,000 to 42,000 calories per person. Plan accordingly. Now, let's talk about hunting and foraging. Yes, it's possible to supplement your food by hunting, fishing, trapping, and foraging. But here's the reality. It takes enormous amounts of energy and skill, and success is never guaranteed. Never rely solely on living off the land unless you're an expert. Your stored food is your primary source. Hunting and foraging are supplementary. Learn basic edible plants in your area. Learn what's poisonous. The universal edibility test can help, but it's time-consuming and risky. Better to know your local plants beforehand. For fishing, include a small fishing kit with hooks, line, and weights. Fishing is often easier and less energy-intensive than hunting. Food storage is critical. Keep everything in airtight, waterproof containers. Rodents, insects, and moisture will destroy your supplies. Vacuum sealing is ideal. Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers work great for long-term storage. Temperature matters too. Store food in cool, dark places. Heat degrades food quality and shortens shelf life. I keep mine in a basement or climate-controlled area. Here's a common mistake. People store food they don't normally eat. Then in an emergency, their bodies can't handle it and they get sick. Store what you eat what you store, and rotate regularly. And one final point. Water is required to digest food. If you're dehydrated, eating actually makes things worse. Always ensure water before worrying about food.
Your food supply is your energy reserve. It's what keeps you functional when everything else is falling apart. Plan carefully, store properly, and regularly check and rotate your supplies. Number 7, communication and signaling devices. This is where a lot of people's plans completely fall apart. They've got water, food, shelter, everything sorted out. But then they realize they're completely isolated. No way to get information, no way to call for help, no way to signal rescue. And psychologically, that isolation can break you. Let me explain why communication is critical. First, information. In any disaster, knowing what's happening is vital. Is help coming? Is the situation getting worse? Are there evacuation orders? Where are the safe zones? Without information, you're making blind decisions. Second, rescue. If you need help, you need a way to signal for it. The best survival skills in the world don't matter if you're injured and can't call for rescue. Third, coordination. If you're with family or a group, you need to communicate. Getting separated in chaos can be deadly. So what do you need? First, a hand crank emergency radio. Not a regular radio, a hand crank or solar-powered emergency radio. When the power grid is down and batteries are dead, you can still generate power manually. Look for one that receives AM, FM, and NOAA weather bands. Many also include a flashlight and USB port to charge your phone. Speaking of phones, get a high-capacity power bank, ideally a solar-powered one. Your smartphone is incredibly valuable even without cell service. It has maps, compass, calculator, notes, and stored information. Keep it charged. Now, here's something cheap but incredibly effective. A whistle.
Not a toy whistle, a survival whistle. The loudest ones can be heard for up to a mile away. 3 blows on a whistle is the universal distress signal. It takes almost no energy to blow a whistle repeatedly compared to yelling, which exhausts you quickly. Signal mirror. A simple piece of reflective material can signal aircraft from miles away. On a sunny day, the flash from a signal mirror can be seen from 10 to 15 miles away. Learn the proper technique. Aim the reflection at the target, then move it back and forth across the target. A bright flashlight with an SOS mode is essential. At night, light travels far and attracts attention. 3 short flashes, 3 long flashes, 3 short flashes. That's SOS, Universal Distress Signal. For ground-to-air signals, learn the basics. A large X means you need medical assistance. A V means you need assistance. A triangle means it's safe to land. These can be made with rocks, logs, or by disturbing ground. Now, if you want to go further, consider a ham radio. Amateur radio operators can communicate over vast distances even when all other communication is down. But here's the catch. You need a license and you need to learn how to use it properly. If you're serious about preparedness, it's worth investigating. Walkie-talkies or two-way radios are valuable for groups. They have limited range, usually a few miles in ideal conditions, much less in reality, but for coordinating with family or team members, they're excellent. Here's the psychological component. Isolation is crushing. Humans are social creatures. In a disaster, the ability to communicate with others, to hear another voice, to know you're not alone, this provides hope. And hope keeps you alive when nothing else can. One more thing about signaling. Don't just signal randomly. You'll waste energy and resources. Signal when you see or hear rescue efforts. Aircraft, search parties, boats. That's when you break out everything and make as much noise and visual signal as possible. Learn smoke signals too. During the day, smoke can be seen for miles. Add green vegetation to your fire to create white smoke. Add rubber or oil to create black smoke. 3 columns of smoke is a distress signal. Your communication and signaling kits doesn't need to be expensive or heavy, but without it, you're invisible, and invisible people don't get rescued. All right, we've covered the 7 essential items, but before we wrap up, let me give you some bonus tips and honorable mentions that didn't quite make the main list, but are still incredibly valuable. First, duct tape. I cannot overstate how useful duct tape is. Repairing gear, creating splints, waterproofing, making rope, emergency bandages, the list goes on forever. Wrap some around a water bottle or stick so it's always with you. Second, more about paracord. I mentioned it was shelter, but it deserves its own mention. 550 paracord has 7 inner strands. You can pull those out and use them for fishing line, sewing thread, sutures, dental floss, trap triggers, everything. It's not just rope, it's a multi-tool in cord form. Third, garbage bags. Heavy-duty trash bags are survival gold. Waterproof storage, emergency rain poncho, vapor barrier for sleeping, water collection, waste management. Get the thick contractor bags, not the thin kitchen ones. Fourth, knowledge and skills trump equipment every single time. You can have the best gear in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, you're in trouble. Take courses, practice skills, read books, watch educational content. The knowledge in your head can never be lost or broken. Fifth, physical fitness. In survival situations, being in shape can be the difference between life and death. You don't need to be an athlete, but basic cardiovascular fitness and functional strength matter enormously. Sixth, mindset. This might be the most important thing I tell you. Survivors have a will to live. They stay calm. They assess situations logically. They adapt. They don't give up. Panic kills. Fear kills. But determination and rational thinking save lives. And finally, start now. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect gear. Start building your kit today. Start learning skills today. Every day you wait is another day you're unprepared. All right, we've covered the 7 essential items that will keep you alive when SHTF. Number 1, water purification system. Without water, you're dead in days. Number 2, multi-tool or survival knife, your most versatile and frequently used item. Number 3, fire starting kit. Multiple methods because fire changes everything. Number 4, comprehensive first aid kit. Medical emergencies wait for no one. Number 5, emergency shelter and tarp. Exposure kills fast. Number 6, portable food supply. Energy to keep you functional. And number 7, communication and signaling devices. Information and rescue capability. These 7 items, combined with knowledge and the will to survive, give you a fighting chance in any disaster scenario. Now, I know this can feel overwhelming. You might be wondering where to start, how much to spend, how to prioritize. Here's my advice. Start with water and first aid. Those are your absolute top priorities. Then build from there. You don't need to buy everything at once. Every small step makes you more prepared than you were yesterday. And remember, the goal isn't to live in fear. The goal is to be prepared so you can live with confidence. Preparedness brings peace of mind. If you found this video valuable, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss future content. I've got more survival guides, gear reviews, and practical skills coming your way. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these 7 items do you already have? Which one are you getting first? I read every comment and I love hearing from you. And here's a challenge for you. Take one action today. Buy one item, learn one skill, or share this information with someone you care about. Don't just watch and forget. Take action. Stay prepared, stay safe, and remember, it's not about if disaster strikes, it's about when. And when that day comes, you'll be ready. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.